So hey guys, this is your favorite fictional vortex. So in this video, we will see what if Naruto fall in love with princesses and become Hokage. But before we start, remember to subscribe and like this video. Now let's start. It was a calm night in Konoha. Within the large Namikaze mansion, one Naruto Uzumaki sat in the private open-air bath, trying to relax and forget about the night he had. It all started when he failed the graduation exam. He was watching the people who had graduated as he tried to figure out what had gone wrong. After leaving, he was stopped by Mizuki, who told him about a makeup exam. When Mizuki left, he went straight for the old man's office and told him about Mizuki before coming up with a plan. Later, after learning the Shadow Clone, Exploding Shadow Clone, and Shadow Shuriken, Naruto waited for Mizuki, only for Iruka to show up and accuse him of stealing the Forbidden Scroll. Soon after Iruka arrived, I appeared but was apprehended by the squad of Anbu, who took him away while Nek escorted Naruto and Iruka to the Hokage. After giving their report to the old man, and getting a headband, Naruto HEA dead to his new home which he inherited upon becoming a genin. Man, what a day! The blonde sighed, sinking into the hot water as the steam became thicker. Suddenly Naruto was tensed when he heard two splashes which confused him since no one except the old man knew he lived here and there were no trees anywhere close to the bath. I wonder what that was, he thought as he tried to feel his way out of the bath through all of the steam. Suddenly he found himself clutching something soft and squishy. With a confused look on his face, he squeezed whatever was in his hands, only to get a pair of low moans in response, causing him to pale as the steam began to clear and he saw what had moaned. Standing in front of him were two beautiful women of about 15. The first girl had short pink hair and purple eyes, while the second girl had long pink hair tied in two pigtails and purple eyes. For a few minutes Naruto could only stare, before his mind snapped out his shock and he jumped away. Who the hell are you two? And how did you get in here? Naruto shouted, getting two different reactions from the girls, a seductive grin from the short-haired girl and an annoyed look from the pigtailed girl. Well, hello there, cutie. What's your name? The short-haired girl asked, moving over to him with a seductive grin as she seemingly teleported next to him, while a long, thin, black tail ending with a heart-shaped tip swung lazily behind her. Naruto froze at the sight of the tail, as his own slowly unwrapped from around his waist, shocking both girls. My name's Naruto Uzumaki, he stuttered, still in shock at the appearance of both of them. But you never answered my questions. Who are you? How did get in here, and how is it you have tails? Both girls looked at each other before the girl with pigtails spoke up. All right. We'll answer you, but can we get some cloth first? He simply nodded before her question actually clicked in his head and he blushed upon realizing they were all naked. Nearly half an hour later, all three of them were sitting in the living room in some new cloths. Naruto was now wearing a pair of black Anbu pants with a red tank top. All right. Now will you please tell me who you both are? He asked, placing 3 cups of tea on the table between them. All right. Well, my name is Bella Deviluke, the short-haired girl said with a smile. She was now wearing a pair of blue shorts and a green t-shirt with the Uzumaki swirl in the back. And my name is Nana Deviluke. It's nice to meet you, the girl with the pigtails said. She was wearing the same thing as her sister, except that her shirt was red. Hold on. Did you say Deviluke? He asked, creating a clone which ran off towards the library. Yeah, our dad is Deviluke, Nana said, as the clone me back with a book that read, Uzumaki Clan History, in bold red letters. I thought your last name sounded familiar, he said, opening the book that showed the first head of the Uzumaki clan with Annette. Her man who name under the picture read, Deviluke. At the sight of the picture both girls began to sweat. If this boy knew who they were, they could only imagine what he would do to them. But if you two are the daughters of this Gid person, what are you doing out here? He asked before seeing the sweat on their faces. If there's some reason, I'll be glad help in any way I can. Before either girl could answer, 2 men in black suits burst through the window, each one grabbing a girl. There you two are. Do you know how troublesome you are? The first man asked, holding Momo by the wrist. No, leave us alone. We don't want to go, Nana yelled, trying to get out of the second man's grip. It's your father orders, now let's go, the second man said before both men found themselves on the ground and both girls next to Naruto with his hand wrapped around each of their waists. I don't know how you guys are, but I promised to help these two no matter what, and I never go back on my word. Because that's my ninja way, the blonde Devilukean said before he disappeared with the two pink-haired girls in a swirl of leaves. It was a calm morning in the village of Konoha. People were slowly opening their shops. Birds were chirping, and dogs were barking at the multitude of shinobi running around, some getting ready to leave for a mission and others returning from late-night missions. Currently inside the Namikaze household, Naruto Uzumaki was lying on his bed, wide awake and stuck in the middle of a Devilukean sandwich with a naked Momo on his left and an equally naked Nana on his right. How did I end up in this situation? The young Devilukean wondered as he thought back to the previous night. Flashback. After leaving the mansion, the three Devilukens appeared in the Hokage's office where the old man was talking to a tall man wearing gray skull-like armor with a thin scorpion-like tail swaying behind him. Old man, we have a problem, Naruto said, catching the old Hokage's attention along with the man in armor. So I've been told, he said, motioning towards the man. Naruto, I would like to introduce you to Zaston Deviluke. The man nodded his head. He is the personal bodyguard to the royal family and the best swordsman on Deviluke. It is nice to meet you, Lord Uzumaki. He bowed, getting confused look from the three teens, especially the two girls, who had never seen Zaston act like this except with their father. Yeah, nice to meet you too, but why are you calling me Lord? The young jinchuriki asked. Because you are a descendant of Lord Jim Uzumaki Deviluke, the older brother of Lord Gid Lucion Deviluke, he said, shocking the three teens. I'm what? The three yelled with disbelieving looks on their faces. As I said, he is Lord Jim's descendant, he said with a smirk. And I have already contacted Lord Gid and he has approved of both Nana and Momo joining this shinobi force with their fiancé Lord Naruto, who is to also marry Lala and become the next ruler of the galaxy. After those words left his mouth, the room fell silent before three loud thumps were heard as the three young Devilukens fainted. Flashback end. Oh yeah, now I remember, he thought grudgingly, before wondering if sneaking into someone else's bed naked was a trait common among all Devilukens or just the two beauties on either side of him. With a regret sigh, Naruto gently nudges the two girls into the land of consciousness. With small yawns the two beauties stretched, showing of their gorgeous bodies, getting the attention of the boy. You know, you do have your own rooms here. The blonde gulped, getting the attention of the girls, and causing Momo to gain a predatory look on her face. With a low moan, Naruto began to relax before vanishing, with the bathroom door slamming being the only indication of where he went. You know, that was kind of cruel teasing him like that, Nana smirked. Yeah, I know, but his rod was already hard. She licked her lips at the thought. Besides, did you see his reaction? Both girls giggled at that as they left the room in order to get ready for the day. After both girls had left, Naruto exited the bathroom and began to get ready for the day while muttering about the two girls and their teasing. A few minutes later, Naruto was wearing a pair of Anbu-style pants, a blue muscle shirt, and a black sleeve-less jacket with blue flames licking the bottom with the kanji for Fox on the back. Leaving his room, the young jinchuriki made his way downstairs where he found the two princesses eating breakfast, both wearing outfits similar to his, minus the jacket. Momo was wearing a green muscle shirt while Nana wore a red one, both showing of their figures. That was not funny, Momo, the boy said as he sat down to eat. We thought it was, she smirked. Besides, we are your fiancés, so what's wrong with us sleeping with you? At her words, both Naruto and Nana blushed a deep crimson color before spitting out their food. After a long and embarrassing breakfast, thanks to Momo's perverted mind, the three arrived at the Ninja Academy and took the seats in the back of the class, all of whom were too excited to notice them enter. Except for Shikamaru, Shino, and Sasuke. All right class, quiet down, Iruka said, entering the class a few minutes later. Now I want to congratulate you all for graduating I hope you all have a successful career. Now on to the teams. Team 1, Team 7 under Kakashi Hatake will be Sasuke Uchiha, Sakura Haruno, and Sai. At the mention of the team, everyone covered their ears as Sakura shrieked, which shattered most of the windows in the room. Damn, That was loud, Nana said, catching the entire room's attention. I think one of my eardrums burst. Who the hell are you? Asked Sakura, while the mouth of every male in the room, except for Sasuke's, fell to the floor. My name's Nana and this is my sister Momo, she said, pointing at her sister while making sure her ear wasn't bleeding. Before anyone else could say a word, Iruka used his big head jutsu to regain the class's attention. As I was saying, Team 8 under Kurenai Yuhi will be Hinata Hyuga, Kiba Inuzuka, and Shino Aburame. Team 9 is still in rotation from last year, so Team 10 under Asuma Sarutobi will be Shikamaru Nara, Choji Akamichi, and Ino Yamanaka, and finally Team 11 under Anko Mitarashi will be Naruto Uzumaki Deviluke, Momo Bella Deviluke, and Nana Aster Deviluke. As he finished reading of the names, Iruka looked out the window before taking a few steps back. Suddenly a black bundle shattered one of the remaining windows before opening to reveal one Anko Mitarashi. Alright you maggots, listen up. My name's Anko Mitarashi, and I'm here to pick up Team 11, she yelled as Naruto ducked down, pulling both Devilukean girls with him, and tried to sneak out the door, before a kunai flew in front of his face, causing him to freeze. Where do you think you're going, Gaki? She chuckled into his ear, making the boy cry anime tears as she pulled him out of the room with the two girls following confused. A few minutes later, the four were sitting in front of a giant forest surrounded by a chain-linked fence, with Naruto tied up and Anko grinning like mad. Alright Gakis, welcome to Training Ground 44, or as I like to call it, the Forest of Death. All three teens looked at the forest as a loud roar came from within it. This will be your home for the next week as I get the two princesses up to speed. A cold spine-chilling feeling ran up the spines of the three Devilukines as they stared at the forest, which only increased with the following words that left Anko's mouth. Welcome to hell. Pure and utter hell. That was what the only way to describe Anko's training, which instead of lasting a week, lasted an entire month. After entering the forest, Anko had put through a training regimen that, according to Momo, would have probably killed even some of the Devilukine's soldiers, who were supposed to be the strongest in the galaxy. Anko first gave Naruto and the two girls a proper crash course on chakra, which they learned. Momo and Nana each had chakra levels equaling all four Hokages in their prime, with the same for Naruto minus the Kyuubi. After that she tested their Devilukean strength, which equaled Tsunade's super strength without the chakra enhancement. The 2 weeks were spent teaching them chakra control, after teaching the two girls the shadow clone jutsu in order to speed up training, as well as increasing their speed and agility. She also gave Hem chakra paper in order to learn their chakra nature in order to teach them a few jutsu. Nana's had both fire and earth chakra types since her paper burnt halfway before turning to dirt. However, instead of crumbling away like it normally would have, it began to burn and melt away, indicating lava, which surprised Anko. Momo had a similar reaction when her paper turned to dirt before becoming damp. The surprising thing was the tree root that grew from the paper, indicating that she had wood release, which was only supposed to have been held by the first Hokage and Yamato, who had been also affected by Orochimaru. Naruto's was a little different than the two girls, but still showed a combination of elements. His paper first split in half, indicating wind, which was rare even in the land of wind. Then the two halves became damp before freezing and shattering into tiny pieces. At the sight of their individual chakra natures, Anko gained a shit-eating grin before leaving for the day in order to get the material needed to train them, leaving a clone to put them through their daily torture. Once she returned, she had them create clones to practice nature manipulation and jutsu while he spent the last 2 weeks teaching them her taijutsu style. Well Gakis, our time in the forest sure was fun, but how about we go get a mission now? Anko asked with a grin as she dragged the three-tiered Devilukines through the village, while they groaned in protest. Can't we have the day of first and rest? Naruto asked as they reached the Hokage tower. Nope, Anko answered cheerful. Why? As she dragged them into the Hokage's office, where she dropped them on their butts with a smirk. Team Anko reporting for their first mission, she chirped as the three genin groaned. Anko, don't you think you should let them rest? The old Hokage asked the snake mistress. They're fine, just need a mission to get rid of their boredom, she said happily while the three groaned. Very well then, since I know you don't like the low-ranked missions, I have a high long-term A-rank mission for you, the old man said, getting the three genin to look up while Anko smiled in delight. We accept, Lord Hokage, Anko said before the old man could even read what the mission was. Hell, she didn't care, as long as it was an A-ranked mission she was happy. All right then, send in the client, the old Hokage called, causing the door to open. When the doors were fully opened, the three genin and their sensei saw a girl around their age wearing a pink kimono with a purple sash. She had long black hair and brown eyes. Team Anko, I would like to introduce Princess Yui Kotogawa, the daughter of the Land of Fire's daimyo, he saw as she glanced over them. The daimyo has decided that she should spend some time learning about the people she's going to rule one day, and has asked that she be allowed to stay here in Konoha. Team Anko's eyes widened at that. Your mission is to guard her while she is her. And help her understand more about the people and shinobi. She will also be living with you three while she is here, he said as the three genin turned to stare at him with wide eyes. You're kidding, right, old man? Naruto asked hopefully, staring at the old Hokage. It wasn't that he didn't like the idea of another girl living in the house with them, it was just that with both Nana and Momo living with him, and Anko deciding she was going to move in since they had the room, along with expecting the third Devilukean princess, Lala, to arrive, Naruto was being overrun with women since Zaston had disappeared. By the way, have you seen Zaston anywhere lately? He disappeared before we entered the forest. The old Hokage shook his head, also wondering where the older Devilukean had disappeared to. I am here, Lord Naruto, Zaston said, climbing through the window to the Hokage's office, getting a deadpan look from the owner of the office. You know, Zaston, here on Earth we have this marvelous invention called a door, the old man said as a tick mark appeared on his forehead. I ask that you use it next time you enter my office. Very well, I shall do as you ask, he said before turning to the three Devilukens. As for you, your question, Lord Naruto, I was making preparations for Lady Lala and King Gid's arrival, he said, causing everyone to freeze, except Yui, who didn't know what was going on. Daddy's coming here, Momo gulped. It wasn't that she didn't love her dad, it was just that she was the one who talked Nana into running away when he began setting up marriage meetings for them and Lala. Yes, and he is very interested in meeting Lord Naruto, he smiled, causing Naruto to sweat a little. Excuse me, but could someone explain what's going on? Yui asked, reminding them that she was in the room. Naruto's eye twitched as sat in the hospital with a broken nose. After the old man explained things to Yui, Naruto walked over to introduce himself to her, only for Momo to trip him, sending him and Yui crashing into the floor. Opening his eyes, having closed them as he braced himself for the fall, Naruto found himself staring as the purple-clad ass of Yui, who screamed and punched him in the nose. What the hell did I do to deserve this? Naruto muttered as the only doctor that would see him, Ryoko Mikado, examined his nose, which was already healing. It was probably because you peeked at the girl's panties, Ryoko teased, getting a mild glare from the Devilukean jinchuriki. It's not like I was trying to look, Momo tripped me, he protested. But aren't shinobi supposed to have good reflexes? She asked, only for him to end up in a corner of the room with a dark aura around him, getting a sweat drop from the busty doctor. Now no need to feel depressed by one little accident. She smiled, trying to cheer him up. You're right, anyways, thanks for looking me over, but I need to go, I got training to do and a mission to get to, he smiled, opened the window and jumped out, running towards his house where he meet the rest of his team and their client waiting for him. Sorry about punching you earlier, Yui said, trying not to look at him. It's all right, trust me, I've been through worse, he smiled at her before opening the gates allowing his client to enter his home. It was a bright day in Konoha, the sun was shining, the birds chirping, shinobi moving across rooftops, and one Naruto Uzumaki acting as the middle of a Devilukean sandwich with Nana and Momo acting as the bread. However, there was one extra ingredient added to this morning's sandwich, which confirmed Naruto's suspicion that sneaking into another's bed was a trait among the Devilukean women, since lying on Naruto's chest was one Lala Satalin Deviluke, the previous night King Gid and Lala had arrived on Earth, but since it was so late, decided that they would talk the next day. Gid had returned to his ship and Lala was given a guest room. With a low sigh, Iritat, That the three had snuck into his room and that he would have to disrupt the comfort of the three warm bodies pressed against him. Naruto created a clone, substituted with it, then dispelled it, walking the three beautiful girls as he walked to the bathroom to get ready for the day. It had been a month since they had accepted the A-rank mission of being Yui's hosts while she was in Konoha, and Zaston had told them Gid was coming to meet him, and in that time, very little had happened. The most notable thing that had happened was the weak Team 11 was sent to Wave to rescue Team 7, who were up against Zabuza Momochi, the demon of the mist. They had arrived the day before Zabuza and his apprentice were to attack the bridge. Since Kakashi was still weakened and Team 7 sucked, Team 11 had guarded the bridge builder, while Team 7 guarded his family. When they arrived at the bridge, Anko fought Zabuza with Zaston, who had tagged along to keep tabs on them, while Naruto had fought Haku, Zabuza's apprentice. Though the fight didn't last very long thanks to Naruto's Devilukean powers, super strength and speed, along with his own ice jutsu, which shocked her. Once Haku was restrained, Naruto snuck up behind Zabuza, who was tied up by Anko's snakes, and pierced him through the heart with his tail, which became as sharp as any blade when he added chakra to it. After that day, Haku declared herself as Naruto's servant, even though the civilians bitched that she should belong to the Uchiha. With the rescue of Team 7, things returned to their slow and boring pace until Lala and Gid arrived. "So you've finally decided to get up," said Gid as Naruto entered the living room, Haku giving him a small bow as he entered. "Good morning, Master Naruto," Haku saw Gid setting a cup of tea in front of him as he sat across from Gid. "Thank you, Haku. Could you please make sure Anko, Nana and Momo are up? I know we have the day of, but I was hoping to get in some training today." Haku nodded her head and left the room, leaving only him and Gid. "So you wanted to meet with me?" "Yes. When Zaston sent me a report about who you were, I was at first shocked, then I became intrigued by these Biju and the fact that you are said to hold the strongest." Naruto nodded his head at that. "I was surprised, by the sound of it. With this fox you may even be able to rival me in terms of power. If the recording of your fight on that bridge is anything to go by." "Well, I can't say I wasn't surprised by our meeting last night," Naruto said, getting a raised eyebrow from Gid. "When Nana and Momo first mentioned you, I thought you would look different, not like this." Naruto pointed at him. When he was first told about him he pictured someone like his dad mixed with Madara, Hashirama. The third and fourth Hokages, calm, decisive, insightful, but bigger and stronger, not look like a kid. But then I remembered the old saying, never judge a book by its cover. "That's good. Now tell me, what all are these Biju able to do?" Gid asked, looking at Naruto critically. "Well, from what I know, they're basically forces of nature by themselves." He had studied up on what people actually knew about the Biju, which wasn't very much. "When I talked to Kura, she told me that, while in the seals, they could manipulate our DNA, which most do, in order to make us stronger, as a survival thing. Since if the host dies, the Biju vanish, and it takes 1 year for them to regain their power, which is indicated by their tails. This Kura is the fox, I take it?" Naruto nodded his head. "Yes. Her name was originally Kurama. She was originally genderless, but took on the gender of her first host, Mito Uzumaki," he said, explaining what she had told him. "So she could manipulate your blood and give you the same powers and abilities of others." Gid had a strange gleam in his eyes. "Yeah, from what I understand, if me or one of the other jinchuriki are injected with DNA of someone with a bloodline or something similar, they can manipulate it to give us that bloodline or ability," he said, taking a thinking pose, getting a confirmation on this from Kura. "Why do you ask anyways? Aside from manipulating your DNA, what else are they capable of?" The gleam in his eye seemed to twinkle brighter. "Well, if the jinchuriki manages to beat the Biju in a fight, they can take their chakra for their own. Once that happens, if the jinchuriki and the Biju have a good relationship or mutual understanding, they can perform a full release, where the jinchuriki literally becomes the Biju the hold inside them, or they let the Biju have control during the fight." A wide grin spread across Gid's face at this information. "Tell me, how much of her power can you control?" If Naruto had full control, then he knew who his successor would be, there was no doubt in his mind. "Well, I have control of all 9 tails," and me and Kura are on really good terms, see. Ing as I'm trying to find a way to get her out of the seal without killing either of us, so I have the ability to perform a full release. Naruto stopped as Gid's grin widened into an almost mad smile. Apparently that's what he wanted to know. Good, that's what I wanted to hear, he said, hoping up and motioning Naruto to follow him as they headed to the Hokage's office. Could you please repeat that? I don't think I heard you correctly, the old man said, looking at Gid with wide eyes. Gid had just told the old man to call all 5 Kages and their jinchuriki and tell them to come to Konoha. I want you to send a letter to all of the other Kages or village leaders and have them come here with their jinchuriki, Gid said seriously, getting a disbelieving look from the old man. I can't do that, the old man sighed once he realized that Gid was serious. If I send a letter asking or telling the other villages with jinchuriki to come here with them, it could be misinterpreted and cause another war between us all. Very well then. What do you suppose we do? Gid asked, looking over at Naruto. Since he was going to be ruler of the galaxy, he should have a say in how to get his subordinate. Well, why don't we use your ship and go to each village, he said, getting a small smirk from the king. I mean, I can sense where the other jinchuriki are with no problem, so if you turn this into a mission, you could have my team go with you to help with negotiations and everything. Very well then, I will hire Team 11 to help me negotiate with the other villages, Gid smirk. Getting a nod from the Hokage as Naruto created a clones to go get the 3 members of Team 11. 3 hours later, Naruto was banging his head against the wall of the Raikage's office, muttering about hard-headed leaders and stupid pride, which was getting him strange looks from the 2 Kumo jinchuriki, Yugito and B, while his teammates ignored it as if it were a common occurrence, which it had become since Nana and Momo had arrived. Will the 2 of you both shut the hell up? Naruto finally snapped. After Team 11 had accepted the mission, they had gone to each village to collect their jinchuriki. Suna and Taki were the easiest to get since their villages hated and feared them. The 2 from Iwa were also easy to get since they were missing Nin. Damn, you're fighting like a bunch of little brats. Why not ask them what they want to do? Naruto yelled, pointing at the 2 Kumo jinchuriki. Very well then, what do you 2 want to do? Gid asked, looking over at them after sharing a small nod with the Raikage. Do you want to stay here and continue being treated like monsters or tools, or would you rather come with us and be in command of thousands of soldiers while only answering to me and Naruto? That's not the way you ask them to choose something without letting them know the full details, Naruto said, face palming at the king's lack of understanding. They were jinchuriki, for crying out loud. While normal shinobi were always suspicious of people, jinchuriki were twice as suspicious. Sigh, allow me to explain. You see, my name is Naruto Uzumaki Deviluke. I am the next in line to the throne of the Devilukean Empire, since my ancestor was Gid's brother who came to Earth, as well as the fact that I am engaged to all of his daughters. I am also the jinchuriki for Kurama, the Kyuubi no Kitsune. The members of Kumo had wide eyes at this info. My uncle, after hearing about the Biju, has decided to create a special task force out of all 9 of us, task force that would be able to go anywhere and do whatever they wanted, only answering to either Gid, until he steps down, or myself, as leader of the task force and heir to the Devilukean Empire. I am offering both of you a choice. I know the life of a jinchuriki since I am one. I know the pain and loneliness. I know what it like to be treated as a monster, but I also know that not all of us are treated the same. He had a small sad smile. He had seen the way the people of Kumo had treated them, the 2, as they walked down the street. They were respected, even if there was a small amount of fear in the people's eyes. Why exactly are you doing this? Ya fool, it really is kinda cool, B said before he was punched in the face by Yugito, causing all of the Devilukines to laugh. Sigh, I'm sorry about B, he's an idiot. Yugito said, only for Naruto to wave it off. It's alright, you punching him for that bad rhyme was well worth it, he chuckled, causing a small tint of pink to appear of the girl's cheeks. But B is right, why are you doing this exactly? She asked, getting a smirk from her fellow blonde. Well, for one, when I take over for my uncle, I'm going to be living here on Earth. So I'm going to need people I can trust to help me rule, since I don't think I could rule a planet, let alone the entire galaxy without some help. They all nodded in understanding. And who, Betty, are to help me then? Those how are the same as me, all jinchuriki are the same, we're feared because we each hold unknown power, and people, no matter who or what they are, will always fear what they don't understand. Another reason is because jinchuriki should stick together. As they say, blood is thicker than water. Naruto pulled out a syringe full of his own blood. And because blood is thicker, I have given a vial of my blood to the others, allowing their biju to turn them all into Devilukines, and my family. He tossed the syringe to Yugito, who caught it and stared at it. If you wish to come with us, simply inject that into your arm. Matabi should do the rest, if not then just toss it back, and we'll leave you alone. For a few minutes, everyone watched as Yugito held the syringe, staring at it, before sticking it into her arm and pushing the blood into her system, allowing Matabi to begin adding it to her DNA. Yeah, now we have another sister, Lala said, pulling Yugito into a hug. Seeing as she had come with them to watch the proceedings, seeing as she was also engaged to Naruto and needed an idea of how he handled political problems like this. What do you mean, sister? Yugito asked, looking at the bubbly princess. Sigh, I'm sorry, my sister somehow got it into her head that you and the other female jinchuriki, Fu, are going to marry Naruto as well, Nana sighed, causing Yugito to blink in surprise and Lala to blink in confusion. You mean we're not getting another sister? Lala asked in a way that was both cute and annoying, causing Naruto to blush since she was looking at him directly. Well, that's her choice as well, he said, looking away from the blonde jinchuriki, as a Devilukean tail suddenly sprouted from her tailbone, shocking the girl as she turned her head to look at it. Blushing at its sudden appearance and from what Naruto said. Yo fool, dat tail really cool, how can I get one too? Be wrapped only to get a foot to the face from Naruto and Yugito at the same time, causing them to blink in surprise. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that, my body just moved on its own when I heard him rap, he said, scratching the back of his head, before pulling out a second syringe, sticking it into B, and injecting his blood into the idiot rapper, allowing Gyuki to begin his work. Well, now that our work here is done, we should head back to the ship, Gid said, snapping his fingers, causing the room to be enveloped in a blue light, before everyone minus the Raikage were taken into the ship. It was a nice warm day in Konoha, the birds were chirping, the shinobi were moving across rooftops heading to and back from missions, and the civilians were enjoying the nice weather of Konoha. Everything was perfect, until an yellow blur and dust cloud ran through the middle of the city, followed by what looked like a metal dog. Lala, will you please turn this damn thing off? The yellow blur asked as the three Devilukean princesses flew above him. It had been a month since Lala and the other jinchuriki had come to Konoha to live with him, and since that day, the village was a lot livelier, especially when one of Lala's inventions would blow up, normally in Naruto's face. I don't remember how, she said, causing everyone who heard her to facefo, except for Naruto, who jumped into the air to fly with the three sisters, hoping he would be safe, only for the robot dog to fly up after him. After Lala had arrived, she made little cloth spots just like Peak, for Naruto, Nana, Momo, Anko, Yugito, and Fu. They all had longer life and Peak, but could only turn into 3 different uniforms, an Anbu uniform minus the armor, their normal shinobi attire, and a bodysuit like Lala's which allowed them to fly, though Naruto, Yugito's and Fu's were very different than Lala, Momo and Nana's, which were the same, minus the color. The bodysuit if the 3 jinchuriki similar to their Anbu uniforms with the addition of a pair of Bat-El Ike wings on his back which allowed them to fly. The costume bots, however, were one of her few inventions that actually worked and didn't blow up in his face. The only other thing that appeared to work was a device she built a while back that slowed down time, but increased the space and gravity of the room, though he had no clue how. The invention was actually how Lala was able to catch up to the rest of them in shinobi abilities. This is getting ridicules, Yugito said, appearing next to the 3 princesses and flowing through hand signs. Lightning style. False darkness, she yelled, breathing a bolt of lightning at the dog, which exploded. Thanks, Yugito. I thought that dog would never stop, he said, floating over to them. He was glad that Yugito could use lightning release and stop Lala's inventions, otherwise he wasn't sure what would happen. After gathering all of the jinchuriki, except for the Sanbis, Gid took all but Yugito and Fu back to Deviluke so that they could learn more about the Devilukean military and help him take over more planets that opposed him. While he did that, the old Hokage had made Yugito, Fu, and Lala a genin team under Kushina Uzumaki. Flashback. 3 days after Gid had left, Naruto found himself standing in the Hokage's office glaring at the old man's 3 advisors, all of whom were shaking at the amount of killer intent that Naruto was releasing. The reason? The old man had received a letter from Naruto's mother Kushina Uzumaki, telling the old man that she would be coming back to Konoha for answers, since she had seen Gid's ship headed back to Konoha. Apparently, after Kyuubi was sealed into him, Kushina had passed out, and woken up 3 days later. Once she had the 3 elders told her that Naruto had died from the sealing, then showing her a dead baby that looked like Naruto. Heartbroken at the fact that she had lost Minato and Naruto, in the same night she had fled the village and the elders had told the Hokage that had died from having Kyuubi ripped out of her. So tell me, why exactly did you lie to my mother? Naruto asked, cracking his knuckles, his eyes glowing blood red, while the 3 elders shivered in fear. Since he was adding Kura's ki mixed in with his own. We did it for the good of Konoha, Koharu stuttered, yellow puddles forming underneath the 3 of them as Naruto's ki increased. If Kushina knew you were alive, then she would have taken you away, and Konoha would have lost a powerful resource. Do you honestly think I would have abandoned Konoha after everything I've been through here? Asked an angry voice as the door slowly opened to reveal Kushina, her eyes glowing red like Naruto's while her hair and tail waved angrily behind her, causing a horrible smell to come from the 3 elders. Know your fucking place, she yelled, kicking all 3 of the elders in the head, snapping their necks and sending them out of the window. Sai, Yuri, please send 3 Anbu to retrieve the bodies of the 3 elders and call for a janitor please, right away Lord Hokage, his secretary said, before he turned to face the older Uzumaki woman. Hello Kushina, it's good to see you again, he said, only to be ignored by the woman who was looking at Naruto with sad eyes. Naruto, is that really you? Naruto nodded his head, his ki vanishing since the elders were gone and most likely dead. I'm sorry for leaving you. Can you please forgive me? She asked, getting on her hands and knees, begging, tear in her eyes. Sai, please get up, Naruto said, not really liking when women cried. I know that you were tricked into thinking I was dead, and I forgive you for leaving like you did. She looked up, a small smile on her face at his words. But I don't think I can see you as a mother. That brought her mood crashing down. It's not that I don't want to know you, it's just that I've grown up by myself, and if I suddenly had a mother come into my life after 15 years, I just don't think it would work out very well. She nodded her head in understanding it would be weird. Very well, then I can understand that, she said with a sad smile. But since I can't get to know you as a mother, would you allow me to get to know you in another way? Her eyes held hope in them and a small amount of desperation. Sure, I would love to get to know you better in any way I can, he said, not really catching her meaning. Flashback end. After that day, Naruto had introduced Kushina to the rest of the members of his home, before she dragged him on a date. When he asked why they were going on a date, she said that since she couldn't be with him as his mother, she would be with him as a lover, which caused Naruto's mind to shut down at her answer. I'm happy to help Naruto, but I still think you should learn some lightning manipulation and jutsu so that you don't have to rely on me every time one of Lala's inventions goes haywire, Yugito said, causing both Naruto and Lala to lower their heads. Naruto because she was right about needing to learn this stuff instead of always relying on her, and Lala because of what Yugito said about all of her inventions going haywire. I know, but with all of Anko's training for the Chunin exams I haven't really been able to learn anything new, he sighed. Anko had spent every day training them into the ground, having them review and train with all of the jutsu they knew until they could perform them with either one hand or no hands. The only new thing he had learnt was summoning, which he had gotten from Kiri's Mizukage and another woman who was after him, Mei Terumi. The contract she had given him was the King Cobra contract, which was more powerful than Orochimaru's snake contract. Oh, I know. Why don't you use time distortion, Kun? La said, suddenly appearing in front of the group, getting strange looks from them, before they all face-palmed. Why the hell didn't I think of that? The 4 thought in unison. Out of all of Lala's inventions, it was the only one that actually seemed to work. Before they could move to return home, they all heard a small scream. Curious, they 5-headed in the direction of the scream, only to find 3 Suna genin. Konohamaru being held by one of the genin, and his two friends hiding behind Yui and surprisingly Sakura. Leave the boy alone, this type of behavior is unacceptable, especially for shinobi. Yui said, glaring at the Suna boy, who ignored her. This punk ran into me, so I'm going to teach him a few lessons in manners. He raised his arm to punch Konohamaru, only to stop and Naruto appeared behind him, holding his pulled back fist while his tail wrapped around the boy's neck. I wouldn't do that if I were you. His cold tone sent a shiver down the spine of everyone minus Yui and the 5 Devilukines. Now drop him. The Suna boy did as he was told, turning his head, only to realize that Naruto was no longer behind him. Snapping his head forward, he saw Naruto and the boy standing next to the group on the ground. Yui, please escort these 3 brats back to the academy. The daimyo's daughter simply nodded her head before pulling the 3 in the opposite direction. Now that they're gone, tell me, who are you 3? Naruto turned back to the 3 Suna genin while the other Devilukines landed behind him, all of them completely ignoring Sakura and Sasuke, who had just jumped out of a tree. Hoping to act cool, you little punk, I'll show. The boy stopped as one of his teammates appeared in front of him, a serious look on her face. I apologize for my idiot of a teammate. My name is Pakura no Shikuden. A genin of the Hidden Sand Village. My teammates are Tamari no Sabaku and Konkuro no Sabaku. Tamari nodded her head, a small blush on her face which was mirrored by Pakura, while Konkuro scowled. We are here to participate in the Chunin exams. Chunin exams, what's that? Sakura asked, reminding everyone that all but one member of Team 7 was present. The question also caused everyone to look at her as if she were stupid, except Sasuke, who didn't know what they were either. Are you serious? Nana asked, looking at her fellow pink-haired shinobi. Hell, even Lala knew what they were. More or less, since she was still learning about the shinobi culture. They are serious, Momo said, causing her Yugito and Naruto to burst out laughing, seeing the conference. Used looks on the faces of the 2 Team 7 members, before they slowly calmed down. Sigh, I really needed that, Naruto said, glancing over at the 2, now enraged genin. Wait, you 2 were actually serious? What the hell is wrong with you 2? They both continued to glare at the boy. Sigh, fine then, listen up and you might learn something. Naruto pulled out a pack of cigarettes, and lit one. Inhaling deeply before releasing the smoke. The Chunin exams are how genin such as ourselves to move up in the shinobi ranks. That's the official explanation. In reality, the Chunin exam, he took another deep breath, letting the smoke fill his lungs, before exhaling the smoke through his nose, turning a pair of cold eyes onto them, is a war between each shinobi village within the elemental nations. The entire ally fell silent at these words, as everyone, minus Naruto's group, stared at the QB Jinchuriki, while he offered a cigarette the members of his family a smoke, Yugito accepting. Hey, as Jinchuriki, the smoke wouldn't affect that, it was more of a way to keep them occupied and clear their head than anything else. You can't be serious, Sakura said, her whole body as white as a ghost. As she shook in fear at the thought, she never thought she would have to experience war. He's dead serious. Everyone turned to the person that had spoken, only to find Fu sitting on the ally fence. The Chunin exams are no joke. I took one while still in Taki, and almost died during the second exam, lost both my teammates, as well. They were crushed by a giant ape on an island. Exams were being held in Kumo that year. Sakura fainted at the thought of the exams. So I take it you need something, Fu? Naruto asked, offering her a smoke as she jumped off the fence and landed next to him, taking one of the sticks and lighting it. Yeah, Anko and Kushina want us back at the house, say they want to triple our training for the exams. She exhaled a cloud of smoke, getting a nod from the Devilukines, who all shunshined out of the ally. The rest of the week leading up to the exams was torture to say the least. Anko and Kushina pushed all 3 into the ground, while using A's invention that she dubbed Time Distortion Kun. With it, and the Shadow Clown Jutsu, they all learnt a new element and a few jutsu to go with it. Naruto had learnt Lightning Element, which gave him Storm Release when he added it to his Water Element and Magnet Release when he added it to his Wind. The Magnet Release complemented the Crystal Ice Mirrors which Haku taught him. Nana learnt Water Release, which gave her Wood Release when combined with her Earth Element and Boil Release when mixed with her Fire Element. Momo had decided to learn Fire Release, giving her Lave Release when mixed. Ith earth and boil when mixed with water, and though it seemed stupid to have both girls know the same elements, Naruto found it very resourceful. With learning her element natures, Lala was shown that she had both wind and lightning, which gave her magnet release when combined, so she decided to learn fire release, which gave her scorch release when added to her wind and the new blaze release when added to her lightning. Before, Yugito had a strong fire element, which came from Matabi, but after being injected with Deviluke blood, she obtained a strong lightning element which gave her blaze release when combined. So she decided to learn water release, which gave her boil release when mixed with her fire and storm release when mixed with lightning. Fu started out with a strong earth element thanks to Chome, but gained a strong water element after being injected with Deviluke blood, which also gave her wood release when combining the two, so she decided to learn fire release. Ch gave her lava when mixed with earth and boil when mixed with water. All in all, the two teams were fairly confident as they entered the Shinobi Academy where the first part of the Chunin exams was to be held. Naruto's left eye was twitching like crazy. The reason? He was standing on the second floor of the academy staring at a bunch of genin standing in front of a room with a genjutsu on it, like a bunch of idiots. They can't be serious, can they? Naruto asked under his breath as he watched Rock Lee get pushed to the ground, like he was some kind of weakling. They had met Lee and the other members of Team 9 the previous week, so they knew that he wasn't weak. Maybe they're acting, Lala said in a cheerful voice as she jumped onto Naruto's back, resting her chin on Naruto's head. That has to be it. There's no other explanation, Momo said, getting a nod from the other Devilukines as they made their way past the group of idiot genin. A small amount of killing intent hit the two teams as they entered the room for the Chunin exams, as every eye fell onto them. Was it like this when you took your test? Naruto asked, leaning over and whispering to Fu, who nodded her head, glaring at a team from Taki. Yeah, but I don't think the killing intent should really be an issue right now, she said, nodding in the direction of a Kusa genin with long red hair, glasses and a tail. Looks Lee. There's another survivor from the Uzumaki clan. You're right, maybe we should say hello, Nana said, getting a nod from the others. However, before the two teams could move, the doors to the exam room opened to reveal Team 7. With Sasuke sporting a bloody lip, all three shivering as if they had seen something evil. You don't think they saw that, do you? Momo asked, snickering at the genin. The 6 Devilukines shuddered at the thought of what would get that reaction, Guyan Lee's unbreakable genjutsu. Shaking his head at the thought, Naruto moved over to the rest of the teams from his year. Before scowling at hearing the voice of Kiba Inuzuka. Well, it looks like we're all here, except for that baka Naruto. I bet he was too scared to even show up, Kiba said with a bark of laughter. Really? Because I heard from your mom and sister that you were shaking like a leaf when you heard their accounts of the Chunin exam, Naruto said from behind Kiba, causing him to freeze as Naruto placed a hand on his shoulder. Hello Naruto, it's good to see you, Hinata said in a shy, quiet voice that Naruto would have missed if not for his enhanced hearing. Hey, Hinata, Shino, keeping the mutt on a leash? Naruto asked, getting a bark from Akamaru. I didn't mean you, Akamaru, I meant the idiot you sitting on. Unfortunately, Shino said in his monotone voice, getting a hurt look from Kiba while Akamaru hopped over to Nana, waging his tail as he went. Well, hopefully this exam will smooth out his ego a bit, just wish it would do that with the Uchihas, though we all know it won't, he sighed, getting a nod from Shino, as well as Shikamaru and Choji, who had come to join the conversation. You guys are being too loud, said a new voice, getting their attention. They all turned to face the owner of the voice, a tall guy with glasses and silver hair. Who the hell are you? Sasuke asked in his superior voice, causing everyone to roll their eyes, except Sakura, who had hearts in hers. My name's Kabuto Yakushi, he said with a smile, causing the 3 jinchuriki to tense up. So what do you want? Shikamaru asked, narrowing his eyes. If he caused the 3 jinchuriki to tense up, then he knew the guy was no good. I just came to offer you rookies some help, he said, pulling out a deck of cards. These are ninja info card I created. They have info on everyone here, including you guys. Do you have information on individual people? Sasuke asked, getting a nod from the boy. I want information on Rock Lee and Naruto Uzumaki. Everyone glanced at Sasuke, surprised. I want a little information on some people as well. Naruto said, shocking everyone. Those 3 girls in the corner, and the redhead from Kusa. Alright, first Rock Lee, it says he's a year older than you guy, his Amatsu are Neji Hyuga and Tenten, and his sensei is Might Guy. Together his team has done 37D ranked and 5C ranked missions. His main skill lies in his taijutsu, Kabuto read of the card. Next we have Naruto Uzumaki. He frowned at the card. All I have on him is his name and his teammates, Nana Aster Deviluke and Momo Velia Deviluke, and their sensei is Anko Mitarashi. Sasuke seethed at that. His one chance to find out information on the blonde-haired idiot. Next the 3 wandering nin, as indicated by their headbands. He pulled out 3 cards. First is the blonde-haired one, her name is Yami. Other than that I have nothing on her or her teammates. Naruto glanced at the girl. She had long blonde hair, dark red eyes, and a childlike figure. She was wearing an all-black gothic street YLE dress and a pair of hair clips which give her a cat-like appearance. Their final teammate goes by the name Nemesis. Nemesis was a petite-looking girl with long black hair, golden eyes and tanned skin. She was wearing a short long-sleeved kimono-type dress with a bright yellow obi holding it together. Last but not least the girl from Kusa. He pulled out a card with the girl's picture on it. Her name is Karen Uzumaki. She's the same age as you guys, but being from Taki I don't have any info on her either. The 6 Devilukeen's eyes widened. There was another Uzumaki here, they would definitely need to meet her. Before anything else could be said, a large plume of smoke appeared at the front of the room, getting everyone's attention. All right maggots, listen up. My name is Ibiki Morino, and from this point onward, I'm your worst nightmare, he said with a menacing look on his face as the Chunin around him chuckled at the looks they were getting from some of the genin. A few minutes later, once all of the genin were in their seats, Naruto was sitting next to the girl Nemesis, who kept glancing at him. Ibiki explained the rules about getting caught cheating 5 times before failing. Are you kidding me? This test is so obvious, ever a 5-year-old could figure it out, Naruto thought, looking around the room, before slamming his head onto the table upon seeing the nervous looks from some of the other Chunin hopefuls. How stupid can you be? I mean honest, I guess it's no wonder he's known as the sadist. Naruto glanced at Nemesis, who was now smirking at him. Can I help you with something? He asked her in a whisper, noticing Hinata, who was sitting on his other side, glance over at him. Not really, it just that you seem much different from the information we were given about you. Nemesis had a small smirk, getting a raised eyebrow from Naruto. We were hired by one of the marriage candidates, after the 3 princesses, to kill you, she said in a cheerful whisper since the test had already begun. Oh great, now people sending assassins after me, he muttered, glancing at her while doodling on his test. So what did this person said about me? He said at you were a vile monster who tricked the princesses into becoming his slaves and planned to take the throne of Deviluke. She chuckled at the thought. But from what I've seen of you so far, you're the exact opposite. I don't know whether to take that as a compliment or not, he said, causing her to chuckle again. It was meant as a compliment, and it means that you are no longer our target, she smiled. Though we do plan to continue these exams, in order to test whether or not you're really worthy of becoming the king. So are you going to tell me who hired you? She smirked at his question. He's a small alien by the name of Lacospo. He hired us to kill you, but like I said, we're not going to anymore, she chuckled softly. You see, we hate liars, and he lied to so we won't work for him. He also left out the fact that you were a Devilukean yourself and that the king has already crowned you his successor for when he retires. I hope you asked for payment up front. Her grin spread across her face even more. Of course, and we don't do refunds. Naruto nearly burst out laughing at that. He already liked his girl, and if she was the leader he couldn't wait to meet the rest of her team. So tell me, if I could get you and your teammates citizenship here in Konoha, would you be inclined to take it? He asked, glancing at her. We might, but the question is, why are you offering? Naruto smirked at the question. As you said, my uncle's already declared me his successor, so I might as well start acting like a rule and make decisions that could help my home, he smirked. Glancing around as more teams failed and were tossed out of the exam room. Besides, I can see it in your eyes as well as your teammates, the pain and loneliness. I'm not sure what's happened in your lives to get those eyes. And it might just be me, but I don't think they belong on women, especially ones as cute as you 3. Nemesis blushed at that. She had never really had anyone call her cute and actually meant it. Alright, if you can win the Chunin exams then we'll join your village and follow you. No matter what, of course that means you have to beat the three of us as well, Naruto nodded. Before they turned back and waited for the test to be over. A few minutes later, when there were only 10 minutes left, Ibiki told them to stop before explaining about the 10th question, which was a take it or leave type question. Naruto smirked as he watched multiple teams quit and leave. He knew Ibiki was playing with their heads, using their fears against them. It was why he was known as the sadist in the T&I department, as well as the best interrogator in the village. So is that all? Are the rest of you really willing to put your careers, as shinobi, on the line for this question? He asked, glancing around at all of the remaining genin with a smirk. Aside from the 2 Chunin mix in with the genin, there were 26 teams left. Very well then, to all of you left I have one thing to say, you all pass. WWWHHHAAAATTTT was the cry that resounded around the room as all of the genin, minus teams 11, 12 and the space assassins, all of whom had bored looks on their faces. Before anything else could be said, a black mass crashed through the window, before unraveling to reveal Anko standing in front of a banner, surprising everyone, again minus teams 11 and 12 as well as the space assassins. All right maggots, listen up, this is no time to be celebrating. My name is Anko Mitarashi, and I'm your worst nightmare. Now let's go, she yelled, only to get the sound of chirping crickets in response. 5 out of 10, Momo said, raising a card with a red number 5 on it, causing Anko to face fault while the other members of Team 11 and 12 raised numbers as well, ranging from 5 to 7. What? Why are my scores so low? Anko asked, crying anime tears while everyone else looked at them as if they were crazy. Because crashing through the window like that isn't really original, Nana said as if it were obvious. You did it when you picked it at team placement. Naruto and Momo nodded in agreement. Alright, I can see that, but why is my score from you three so low? I mean, Lala gave me a 7, what was wrong with my entrance? She asked, turning to face the members of Team 12. No explosions, Lala said with a wide smile as if it was the most obvious thing in the world, causing everyone in the room to face fault at her simple answer. I get no love from my own genin, she said, huddled in a corner, crying anime tears as a dark aura hovered above her, getting strange looks from the remaining genin, before she was back on her feet with a wide smile. Oh well, it's time for the second part of the Chunin exams, so follow me. All of the genin were floored by her 180 personality as she jumped out the window, followed by teams 11 and 12, before they all scrambled out the door. With a sigh at his colleagues, unique, mood S. Wings in her equally unique genin team, Ibiki began collecting the test, only to stop when he came to Naruto's test, which had a warning about Kabuto Yakushi, which he took straight to the Hokage. Alright Gakis, welcome to my home away from home, Training Ground 44, or as it's more commonly known, the Forest of Death, Anko said 20 minutes later when all of the genin who passed the first test had gathered in front of the forest. Ha ha ha, at the sound of laughter, everyone turned to face Team 11, who were all laughing at the nervous looks on the faces of all of the gathered genin, minus the space assassins and Team 12. What are you laughing about, Dobi? Sasuke asked, glaring at the 3 laughing Devilukines. We're laughing at the scared looks on all of your faces, he said before laughing at the irritated look on the Uchiha's face. I assume there's a reason you're not nervous about entering a place called the Forest of Death, Neji asked, glaring at them. This is our training ground, Nana said with a smirk. When we're not in the village or at home, we're hanging out in here with all of the giant tigers. Everyone's eyes widened at this new. Don't forget the man-eating plants, Momo said, causing the genin to begin sweating a little. Not to mention fighting of the giant spiders and centipedes, avoiding the quicksand, the bear cave, the snake holes, and the scorpion nests. At this, more than half of the genin were shaking while glancing at the forest and a scowling Anko. Way to go, you 3 just ruined the surprises for everyone, Anko saw it with a childlike pout at her genin, telling everyone what was in the forest before smiling. All well, at least you 3 don't know about the other things I added earlier today. After her team had calmed down, Anko handed out forms that everyone filled out before explaining the rules of the exam. the teams handing in their forms and receiving either a heaven scroll or an earth scroll, before heading to their assigned gate. Alright you brats, listen up. I got one last piece of advice for you, Anko said as everyone tensed up. Just don't die. With those words fresh in their minds, the gates to the forest opened wide and all of the team rushed into its depth. The second phase of the Chunin exam had officially begun. Naruto let out a long sigh as he leaned against a wall in the tower in the middle of the forest of death. The reason for it, a little girl. She had long blonde hair and a pair of white wings on her head. She was wearing a white dress with blue trimming and a matching hat. The girl was Princess Valkyrie of the planet Valhalla, which was a rival planet with planet Deviluke, since the two basically even in terms of power. Why does this stuff always happen to me? Naruto groaned out as Valkyrie held his hand with a wide smile on her face, while Momo and Nana were explaining what had happened to Anko and the Hokage. Flashback. Naruto let out a small sigh of relief as he leaned back in the hot water in the bathing area of the tower in the Forest of Death. It had been 2 whole days since the second part of the exam had begun, and it had not been as easy as the Devilukines thought. Not because of the animals or anything, but because of Yami, Maya and Nemesis. After entering the forest, the 3 Devilukines of Team 11 had run into the 3 space assassins. And Nemesis was proving that she was going to test his skills when she had him fight Maya, the weakest member of the 3, whom Naruto had beaten relatively easy. After fighting Maya, they were given the scroll they needed and headed straight to the tower, beating the record by making it in 3 hours and 57 minutes. After that they spent the rest of the first day and the second waiting for the other teams. Which didn't take that long. Man, I'm so tired, Naruto said as he stretched out in the water. At least I finally have some peace and quiet. He looked up at the night sky before gaining a giant seat drop on the back of his head as a spaceship with bird-like wings was headed straight for him. Well, that figures, he muttered to himself as the ship crashed into the water, knocking him out. Flashback end. When Naruto woke up, he found Valkyrie smiling down at him in a childlike form. Before, without any warning, she kissed him and transformed into her adult form, where she explained about overreacting, thinking she had killed him, and giving part of her soul to him. I see, so that's what happened. Naruto glanced over at the old Hokage, who had a wide devilish grin on his face. Well, my boy, it seems you now have another bride to add to your growing harem. He let out a small perverted giggle before freezing as Naruto began leaking killing intent. This is not funny, Naruto yelled at the old man, who cringed away from Naruto's glare. Well, in a way it kind of is, Nana said without thinking before noticing the look she was getting from Naruto. I said that out loud, didn't I? Everyone else nodded at her. Yeah, you did. Mind explaining what you meant? Nana chuckled nervously as Naruto stared at her, waiting for her to explain. Well, you see, the reason she's funny is because Valhalla is the exact opposite of Deviluke, and our 2 planets have been at a stalemate for centuries now. Naruto's eyes widened at this. He had no idea. He made a small mental note to learn more about Deviluke, its territory, and its rivals' enemies. The reason it's kind of funny is that, now that you have part of her soul, even if she did act rather hastily, you 2 are practically married now. Meaning you have access to both Deviluke and Valhalla. Naruto gave her a deadpanned look. Is that supposed to make me feel better? Because if it is, it's not working, Naruto said, getting a sweat drop from the 2 Devilukean princesses and a giggle from the Valhalla princes. Yay! Valkyrie is happy. She's going to stay with Naruto forever, Valkyrie cheered with a smile. Hitch brought a small smile to Naruto's face, despite the situation. Sigh, I guess that when these exams are over I should start learning a little about the history and territories currently controlled by Deviluke and Valhalla, Naruto said with a small smile as Team 12 entered the room led by the ever-bubbly Lala. I can explain it to you if you want, Lala said with a smile, having heard and Naruto said about learning more about the planets he was going to rule. Bringing out her D-dial, Lala pushed a button causing a dry erase board to appear before she drew a small circle in the middle, with 4 lines connecting to each of the 4 corners. This is a simplified version of how the universe is currently separated. We can have Zaston teach you the finer points later. Everyone gain. A small sweat drop at her carefree attitude before the all sat in front of the board. This middle circle here is a small galaxy which is considered neutral territory to the four main powers in the universe. She drew a smile face in the center circle. To the north is Deviluke space, all of which is controlled by Papa, and soon you. She drew a chibi version of Naruto and Gid. To the east is the Valhalla territory. This is controlled by the Valhallans. She drew a chibi version of Valkyrie, causing the girl to cheer. West of Deviluke space is Jurian space, which is controlled by the Jurian Empire. She drew a tree on top of a planet. And finally to the south of the neutral galaxy is what they call the Galactic Republic, which is led by some old politician with a special order called Jedi acting as peacekeepers. She drew a frog with pointy ears holding a stick. The leaders of each sector of the galaxy meet in the neutral territory every 100 years or when a new person takes control of one of the four territories, as a way to show a semblance of peace or something. Lala gave a wide grin at the end of her explanation, causing the others to sweat drop with small grins. Her bubbly personality was really contagious at times. So in short, since I'm marrying you three and now Valkyrie, I'm going to rule over two different sectors and in turn throw the whole balance of power in the universe out of whack. Naruto asked, causing the eyes of everyone, who hadn't realized that yet, to widen in surprise. That's the gist of it, blonde. Everyone turned at the sound of the new voice to see a girl with blue hair and wings on her head similar to Valkyrie leaning against the wall next to the door. Of course I'm more worried about how the people at home are going to react to this news, to think Valkyrie would wind up engaged to a Devilukean. I'm sorry, but we ask who you were and how you got here. The old Hokage asked while everyone else tensed in case of a fight. The name's Hydra. I'm one of the 8 princesses of Valhalla, and I came to take Valkyrie back home so I wouldn't be forced into the marriage she ran away from, but with her engaged to a Devilukean, everything's changed. The now named Hydra said, looking at the group before her with a small smirk on her face. None of this really matters right now. Everyone turned to face Naruto, who had stopped listening after Hydra introduced herself and was currently stretching. Anything that involves space doesn't matter right now. All that matters right now is me making Chunin. After that I'll worry about making Jonin the becoming Hokage. Once I have that title I'll unite this planet under my rule, then worry about the rest of the galaxy later. He turned and gave them his fox-like grin, causing all of the women in the room to blush. Now we still have 2 days before this exam is over, so for now let's rest up and prepare, because something tells me the next part of this exam is going to be intense. So remind me again why we're here? Hydra asked as she stood next to Valkyrie, who was in her older form, as the two looked over the railing of the balcony into the arena, where the Gen in who made it past the second round of the Chunin exams stood waiting. We're here to support Naruto and the others, Valkyrie said as she smiled down at Naruto, who was standing with the other teams that had made it to this round. The 2 days since the arrival of Valkyrie and Hydra had flown by, with Naruto spending most of those 2 days getting to know little Valkyrie, while the other teams began to arrive. The first team to arrive after the 2 Devilukean teams was the team of Space Assassins, followed by the team from Suna. Team 8 came in the 4th day, followed by Team 9 and 10. On the 5th and final day the Sound team arrived, with Team 7 showing up just as all of the other teams were gathering for the next round. Right, well, as long as Naruto and his team put on a good show, I don't really care. Hydra looked bored as the Hokage stepped up to give a speech about how proud he was for all of the teams making it, and how the exams were really a mini, yet peaceful war between all of the villages. Before he could finish his speech, however, the doors burst open and the Kusa team rushed in, looking embarrassed. Yo, glad you guys could finally make it, Naruto said, glancing over at the Kusa team. Karen glancing around nervously as everyone stared at them, though her eyes kept drifting over to Naruto and the others. Everyone turned to see a sickly-looking Jonin standing before all of them. Now that everyone is here, we can begin the preliminary matches, he coughed into his hand. Since there are so many of you past the second part of the exam, we will be holding a preliminary round in order to lower the number of competitors for the third round. There are a few reasons for this. First is so that the spectators won't have to wait as long. Another is so that we show only the best each village has to offer. All of the genin nodded in understanding. It made sense that the fat rich people that were coming to the exams wouldn't want to wait a long time. It also made sense that the villages wanted to show off only the best they had to offer. With this in mind, Anyone who wishes to quit, raise your hand now, your name will be marked down and you will be free to leave. The genin all looked at the Jonin curiously. The preliminary round and the third round of the exam will be one-on-one combat, so if you decide to leave it will not affect your team in any way. All the genin glanced around at each other wondering if any of them would leave, before a number of hands rose into the air. The first were the two Kusa genin that entered with Karen. Once they had left, Sakura, Choji and surprisingly Maya raised her hand. Once the 5 genin had left the arena, a large monitor appeared on one of the walls before flying through names, Landon G on 2 that caused everyone's eyes to widen. You know, if I didn't know this was at random I would say that this selection thing was rigged, Naruto said as he glanced at the 2 names on the screen, Sasuke Uchiha vs. Lala Deviluke. Will everyone except the 2 whose names were selected please head up to the viewing platform, the Jonin, who introduced himself as Hayate Gecko, said as Everio. Nay aside from Sasuke and Lala headed up to the stands. Good luck Lala. Make sure you kick his ass, Naruto said kissing her on the cheek as he passed, getting a wide grin from the genius girl as she nodded her head. Are both competitors ready? Getting a nod from the 2 Hayate stepped back. Let the first match begin, Hajime. You might as well give up now, there's no way you can ever hope to stand up against an elite. Sasuke said with his smirk on his face. Wait, if I'm supposed to be fighting an elite then why are Naruto and the others up there? Lala asked pointing towards Naruto, causing the Deviluke and all to burst out laughing while Sasuke seethed at the girl's word, anger burning in his eyes. There's no way that Dobi can be considered an elite, he's nothing but a clan-less failure. Sasuke said before he was hit by a pink beam of energy from the girl's tail, knocking him out, while her eyes shadowed her eyes. Don't you ever insult Naruto again, Lala said in a scary one that sent a shiver up everyone's spine. If you do, I'll make you suffer. Naruto smiled at the look in Lala's eyes, which held true devotion in them, even though Naruto had only had his new family for a short time. He knew they would do anything to make him smile, just like he would do anything to make sure they were all happy. The winner is Lala Deviluke, Hayate coughed into his hand, While the Devilukines all cheered for her. That was great Lala, a clean victory without showing of any of your skill. Lala wore a huge grin on her face as Naruto rubbed her head in praise. Over the next 2 hours the matches were rather interesting, if short. After Lala beat Sasuke, Nana beat Neji while Momo beat Ino, Yugito, Fu and Shikamaru all beat the Sound Team, while Rock Lee beat Konkuro. Tamari beat Tenten and Pakura beat Shino while Nemesis beat Kiba, and Hinata lost to Karen. With 3 competitors left, the next match will be the final match. The person whose name is not called will get a pass to the 3rd round. Hayate said as the screen began flashing through names before they landed on 2. Will Naruto and Yami please come down? So, it looks like you're going to be my next test. Naruto smirked as he stood across from Yami. Well, I hope I can impress you. I hope so as well, Yami said as her hands morphed into curved silver daggers. Let the final match between Naruto and Yami begin, Hajime. Hayate barely had time to move back before the 2 clashed in a shower of sparks, Naruto holding a pair of kunai in Rever's grip while Yami pressed him with her daggers. You're stronger than you look. Naruto kicked the golden beauty away from him. But that's not going to stop me from winning. With that the 2 began clashing at speeds that few could keep up with. Water style. Exploding water shock wave. Naruto yelled as he disengaged from Yami, before spitting out a huge amount of water, flooding the arena and catching Yami by surprise. Did I get her? Naruto wondered as he stood on the water looking around, before dodging as Yami shoot out of the water underneath him, soaking wet and glaring daggers at him, while her hair turned into multiple curved daggers. I hate perverts, she said, confusing Naruto until he realized what she meant. Her black dress, which hugged her figure before, was now soaking wet, making it hug her even more, her skirt rising a little to give a view of her white panties. No wait, I didn't mean to, Naruto said, his cheeks a little red from the view in front of him, even though Naruto had seen all of his girls naked, since it seemed that crawling into someone else's bed naked was a female Devilukean trait. He wasn't a pervert, or at least he tried not to be. It was an accident, I swear. Now you die. Naruto's eyes widened as the hair blades which moved at an extremely fast, pierced his body, causing all of the Konoha genin, minus teams 11 and 12, to stare in shock as one of their own was killed. Why do you think Naruto's hiding from her? All of the Konoha genin turned towards Lala, who was blinking in confusion as she watched Yami remove her hair blades, allowing Naruto to fall into the water. Because he's embarrassed about seeing Yami's panties, Momo chuckled while eyeing Yami. While not open about it except with her family, Momo was a huge pervert. She even had every copy of the Ichi Ichi Paradise book. Water style. Water whips. Before anything else could be said, a number of whips made of water exploded from the water and wrapped around Yami, immobilizing her as 10 Narutos jumped out of the water. What is this? Yami yelled as the whips snaked around her body, making it impossible for her to move. This is me winning this match, Naruto smirked as Yami glared at him with hate in her eyes. And a little bit of fear hidden underneath it all. Since Yami is unable to battle, the winner is Naruto. Everyone clapped as the water was drained from the arena and Naruto released the alien assassin. A nervous smile on his face. Sorry about tying you up and getting you wet like that. I wasn't trying to be perverted or anything, Naruto chuckled nervously as Yami narrowed her eyes at him. She could tell he wasn't lying, but she was still mad he did it. With a small sigh, Yami turned and headed up to the balcony while everyone who won their match gathered before the Hokage. I think I might have made her mad, Naruto whispered to Nana as the old man began his explaining about the third exam. You don't have to worry about Yami, Naruto glanced at Nemesis, who was standing next to him. She's made right now but she'll get over it, and if you manage to beat me in the finals she'll be just as loyal to you as she is me. Naruto shook his head, a small smile on his face as he glanced up at the golden-haired assassin, before grabbing a number out of the box Anko was passing around. Alright, now everyone tell me you numbers, Anko said holding a clipboard. I got number 1, Yugito said starting of the list. Alright, here are the matches for the third round, Anko said holding up the chart once everyone had given their number. Match 1. Yugito vs. Pakura. Match 2. Fu vs. Karen. Match 3. Nana vs. Shikamaru. Match 4. Momo vs. Tamari. Match 5. Lala vs. Sai. Match 6. Rock Lee vs. Naruto. Match 7. Winner of Match 6 vs. Nemesis. These are the matchups for the third round. The old man said, getting understanding nods from the gathered genin. Now you all have a month to prepare, so I suggest you spend that time wisely, so until then train hard and we will see you all in 1 month. With that, everyone began leaving the tower in order to prepare for the finals in 1 month. The end. Remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.